I was working double shifts at the factory when my wife's lover called. The machines were loud, but not louder than the voice that cut through the static of my phone. Your pathetic wife sold your daughter to pay her gambling debts. She's mine now. I froze mid-shift. The steel conveyor hummed beneath my gloves, but I couldn't feel it anymore. His voice lingered, poisoned with laughter. In the background, faint, fractured, and breaking my bones from the inside, I heard her. "Daddy, help me." 8 years old. My little girl. My only reason for enduring this hell of double shifts. Then, silence. The line went dead. Seconds later, my phone buzzed again. Not a call, a text from my wife. "She's gone forever. Move on." Just like that. 3 sentences. Clean. Detached. Like I was a stranger being told about a car accident. My body wanted to collapse. My hands wanted to smash steel into dust. But my mind went still, like ice forming over black water. They thought I was nothing but a factory man, a tired husband, a useless father, a man who could be mocked and discarded. But they didn't know who I used to be. The shift dragged on, though I don't remember working. I only remember silence. My coworkers talked, joked, cursed. I nodded at the right moments. My mask stayed intact. Inside, though, something was clawing through my ribs. The lever's voice echoed, mocking, triumphant. "She's mine now." The text burned. "Move on." I replayed everything. The sudden nights she said she was visiting her sister. The way she avoided my eyes when I asked about money. The perfume that didn't match hers, clinging to her clothes. I ignored it, because love is blind, and denial is easier than confrontation. But now, the veil was gone, and beneath it, rot. My wife, the woman who once promised to build a life beside me, who laughed in my arms when our daughter was born. She had bartered flesh and blood for another chance at the game tables. I didn't speak a word when I got home. She was there, sitting on the couch, watching TV like nothing had happened. She looked at me once, briefly, then turned back to the screen. "Long shift?" she asked. I nodded, calm, quiet. My insides howled, but my face betrayed nothing. She had no idea. The days that followed were a performance. I went to work, I came home, I ate, I slept. But every hour in between, I was digging. Quietly, strategically. I found her hidden phone beneath the sink. The messages were there. Pictures, too. My daughter's face, scared, tear-streaked. My wife's replies, casual, cold, arranging times and payments. I traced the number that had called me. A name surfaced. A man I had once known in another life, before the factory, before I traded violence for steel shifts and oil-stained hands. Every breadcrumb led to the same conclusion: betrayal. Layered, deliberate, suffocating betrayal. But I didn't rage. I didn't break. I documented. I recorded. I gathered every piece like evidence in a case only I would judge. She suspected nothing. She laughed on calls. She painted her nails at the kitchen table. She kissed me on the cheek when neighbors could see. I responded like a ghost. Nods, quiet words, always calm. But inside, I was tightening a noose, thread by thread. The proof was complete 2 weeks later. Bank statements showing withdrawals. Surveillance stills of her with him. The lover's voice recorded, boasting, too arrogant to hide. And then, the file that destroyed the last breath of denial. My daughter's medical intake forms. She had been admitted briefly under his name, registered as his ward. The blood in my veins went still. That night, I sat across from her at the dinner table. The TV flickered behind her, but I didn't watch. I slid the folder across the table. Thick, heavy, final. "What's this?" she asked, smiling faintly. I said, "Nothing." She opened it. Pictures, screenshots, signatures, proof of everything. The smile faltered, her lips parted, her eyes widened. Then came the trembling. You don't understand." I leaned forward, my voice calm, steady, cold. "I understand perfectly." She tried to speak. Excuses, lies, pleas. But I didn't care for her words anymore. Instead, I pulled out the last piece, the custody transfer papers I had prepared. Not for her, for me. With her own forged signatures exposed beside them. Her eyes darted across the page. Realization dawned, not just of her betrayal being uncovered, but of her position being dismantled. "You won't see her again," I said. The words landed heavier than any scream. Her voice cracked. "Please." I stood, slow, controlled. I didn't look at her as I walked past. I didn't need to. Her sobbing was the only sound left in the house. I had already contacted the right people, quietly, discreetly. The lover's record was now public, his face printed where it mattered. He would be dealing with iron bars soon. And she would be left with nothing. No daughter, no husband, no cards, no dice. Just the echo of her choices. That was enough. I didn't cry, I didn't rage, I simply breathed. For the first time in years, my lungs filled without weight pressing against them. The house was silent when I returned later. Her belongings were gone. The rooms smelled of absence. I checked on my daughter. She was asleep, safe now. I stood by her door watching the steady rise and fall of her chest. Innocent. Untouched by the poison that had tried to claim her. I wasn't the man I used to be, but I wasn't the man they thought I was either. Betrayal had carved me hollow, but in that hollow space I found something sharper than grief: clarity. As I closed her door and walked down the hall, one truth lingered, cold and final. They thought they had broken me, but I was never theirs to break.